I was attending a meeting a few weeks ago that included Reverend Allison. At one point, she turned to me and said something along the line of, "John, this church means a lot to you, doesn't it?" I assured her that it does mean a great deal to me, and probably gave us a few short examples before the meeting continued. This morning, I'll try to explain to you what the church means to me and why it lights my flame, so that I remain active in my support of it, both financially and with my time. In the winter of 1975 and 1976, two things happened that had a great deal to do with my ongoing relationship with the church. First, my wife Carol and I started visiting the church around or just after the holiday season. The first Sunday we went into coffee hour, Gene Strasberg, who along with his family is still a member of the church, met us at the door of the dining room. He talked with us for a while and then took us to a group of couples our age and introduced us. From that point on, we would not be strangers standing in a corner by ourselves, because we had a core group of friends that we could look forward to talking with, and our circle of friends continued to grow. The other situation that influenced my relationship with the church was economic. The early to mid 1970s was a period of tough economic times, and I had been at an extended period of being unemployed. While by the winter that we came to church, with this church, we were getting just back on our feet financially, but we still felt we could have trouble contributing what we felt was our fair share to the church. However, we could contribute our time. By early March, I was already singing in the choir, and Carol had found her way to what I still want to call the RE wing to help out where she could. Carol went on to serve on the RE committee and the property committee, and eventually joined the church staff as a sexton, a position she held for over 10 years. We had formally joined the church in June 1976, but long after that, I was recruited to a committee titled Worship Services, which actually no longer exists because it's been split into three teams: the music team, the worship associates, and the pastoral care. I stayed in that committee for a number of years and then helped out in other committees where I felt I could contribute until around 1993. I was elected church treasurer, a position I held for 11 years. I am currently on a couple committees and teams and have remained in the choir. A few years ago, Reverend Allison gave a sermon built around the word belonging. She had differentiated between the signing of a membership book and actually supporting the efforts of the group. Near the end of the sermon, she asked, "To what did we feel we belonged?" Initially, I couldn't think of a thing that I did that would qualify in terms of the sermon. A choir friend pointed out that I certainly belonged to the choir because I show up almost every Wednesday for rehearsal and almost every Sunday to contribute music for the worship service. It was sometime later that I realized that I also belonged to this church, because over the years I have supported the ongoing operation of the church, and I have the satisfaction that I have helped maintain and support the community so that we can continue to attract people who share our collective values. I am particularly pleased that the church has attracted many young church members and staff who have willingly stepped into leadership positions, and I feel that the church community will continue to thrive. In a recent communication regarding our COVID safety, Reverend Allison used the phrase, "We are, at our core, a community that takes care of each other." I want to add gratitude to my reasons for why this church lights my flame. I'll briefly tell my story, but I'm aware that we were not alone in receiving the support from this community. Many of those of you who have been associated with the church for, say, more than 8 years are probably aware that at a Christmas time in 2013, Carol and I flew to Alaska to be with our oldest son and his family for Christmas holidays. That Christmas Eve, Carol suffered a stroke that left her unable to use her left side because her damaged brain no longer recognized that she had a left side. By the time I was able to get her home in April, some members of the church had already been in our house to get it ready for an invalid in a wheelchair. Many other church members wanted to help us. Of course, we had meals delivered. We also had people come to help get Carol out of the wheelchair for exercise, or to visit with her while I ran errands or just needed to be out of the house for respite. We also had some people run errands for me when it was too difficult for me to leave her alone. Just a few months after returning home, we had a chance to thank many people who had helped us. A friend hosted a gathering that included 45 people, all from this church, who had helped us in some way. Many of those friends continue to help us for the 5 years that she remained in our home. In summary, I recognize that our belonging provided us with a sense of purpose, with socialization and support when we needed it. The church flame burns brightly in my house.